Welcome to another episode of the weekly business show with myself, Eugene, and my co-host, Willie, Will the Man, and where we talk all things business, entrepreneurship, lifestyle, travel, all things that we should be talking about on a regular basis. So, welcome to another episode, and today is nothing different than any other day. Just super amazing guys that we get onto the show. Willie, I think before we get into the show, just a quick introduction. Who is EHQ and why are we doing the show?
Oh, thanks, Eugene, and welcome to you as well for coming to the show, my co-host. So everyone that's new to the show, the purpose of the show is this is mine, myself and Eugene's Give Back project. Eugene's got a company called Dance Studios. We sponsor this. I've got a company called Value Smart. And we kind of started this to try and speed up your journey as an entrepreneur. We firmly believe that we can learn from other guys, so learn from other people's mistakes. So that's kind of how Entrepreneur HQ started. So if you want to join our mastermind, below a link. And guys, it's all about sharing. We don't ask anyone to pay for the show or stuff like that. Please like, share, and subscribe to all of our channels. And let's get the word out there. And Eugene, without further ado, I think let's get this amazing, or can you introduce this amazing entrepreneur today?
Yeah, thanks, Willie. And today we've got Eduard Walker on the show. So I've known Eduard for a couple of years now. Met him through a group called 7 CTOs, where it's CTOs that come together once a month and complain about our girlfriends, I guess. No, I'm joking. It's a really cool high-level group for 7 CTOs, and I think that's the goal of a lot of the stuff that we do, really. That's where our mastermind comes from as well, as networking with like-minded people. Les Brown says your net worth is related to your network. The thing is, where do we find like-minded people to network with? And it's by joining organizations such as 7 CTOs or EHQ's mastermind or whatever it is. So it doesn't matter whether you join ours or someone else's, just get yourself involved in some sort of mastermind, someone that meets up on a monthly basis, someone that you can network with, and that there's communication in between. So, Willie, let's get Eduard onto the show and let's kick off today's business show.
Welcome, Eduard.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for taking some time out of your busy day. You're mentioning you've got a lot of meetings and stuff like that. So let's jump straight into it. For everyone that's watching this show, tell us a bit about Eduard Walker.
Okay, so I'm an entrepreneur, engineer in the telecommunications and broadcasting environment. So I've always been entrepreneurial, businesses from a small age, and always been technical from a small age. And I think by doing the stuff I like is the journey. That's part of the journey. It's like never-ending destination. Every time you think you've reached the destination, then the journey just
it's just a checkpoint.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a disappointment if you think there's a destination, because once you reach it, it's like, now I'm here. Now what now? So just carry on. It's just never-ending.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've been an entrepreneur since you were, or from a young age. What was one of the first things that you got involved in?
Sure. Well, this is really personal, and it was really long ago. So I made these oat cookies in primary school, which so I think that's probably the first thing.
It's crazy. A lot of the people that we talk.
Yeah, then it moved on. In high school, it was more like fixing cars and motorbikes for people. And then there was a nice house-sitting business, which was very interesting. And believe it or not, if you do sales, like if you're a waiter, you kind of also are an entrepreneur, because you need to sell, and it's all about selling. Entrepreneurship business is all about selling. You need to that's what you have, find the gap. Somebody needs something. Do they need a beer, or do they need a car service? And then get those people and tell them, oh, this is what I can do for you. And it's saving the time that they don't have to do it. They don't have to go and walk and get the beer. Now you bring it for them, and that's how entrepreneurship works. It's saving people's time. Time is money, and if you save them time, they will give you the money.
Hopefully.
Well, I should stop saving their time, otherwise you just don't do it. Otherwise you're going to go bankrupt.
I think a lot of guys end up running with Yuan from Treetops mentioned it, but you become an involuntary non-profit.
Yeah. It's part of the plan. You didn't volunteer for it. I'm currently working for a company called Fibrepoint, which is part of the Pointing Group, where we develop products, a system which is eventually a product, and it's all to do with internet, delivering internet to people. And I mean, if we think about it from a technical perspective, the data. To get data like a Facebook or picture, or on your that picture is actually for free. It's in a data center. It doesn't cost much. If you could walk up to Facebook and plug your computer straight into it, then you could get Facebook. But now it needs to be delivered all the way to your device, and it's that delivery. It's that cost of the delivery. That's where the money comes in, and that's that internet, that infrastructure that needs to be paid for. That is what it's data. That's why data costs money. It's because it needs to get to you. The data doesn't really cost much. It's very, very small portion. It's getting that data to your device. So the internet is almost like a delivery service, if you think about it. It's like this parcel. If you want to maybe buy a shirt in China, that shirt can either get to you via a plane, which is more expensive than a boat. That plane can't land in your driveway. And same can this container ship not stop in front of your door. So it gets to, this container ship gets to the shore. So that's like an undersea cable. It gets to the shoreline, and then from there. That shirt goes onto a train or a truck, and that's the intermetropolitan, interprovincial fibers, and that goes then all the way to wherever you stay, wherever it's the closest. And then this truck or this train also doesn't really want to stop next to your house because it's they've got thousands of other parcels and it's going to be expensive. So when it gets to this depot, there's a guy on a scooter or a guy that then takes the parcel. And that's the same as this how it works. They then put it to your house. So it's the same. It's that same delivery service of the parcel.
So are you the guy in the bucky?
Yes. No, in the scooter. But I'm not driving all the way from China. I'm just driving from the local depot.
Yeah.
Just the access net.
There's something that always boggled my mind is how you pick up a telephone, even in the old days. I mean, this is like 20 years ago. You could pick up, or 30 years, whenever, a landline phone, and it can transmit not just what you're saying, but it can transmit the tone of your voice. It's like, how does it?
I don't know. It's not that much. It's not that. We used to make these strings with the cups on each end.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the string has to be stiff. If the string is lying on the floor, it absorbs all the frequency. It absorbs all the sound waves. So this is basically the same thing. It's just that string. Nowadays you can do it wirelessly. So you can just take a cone, what do you call these things that people shout at to crowds? Or when
the vuvuzela.
You can take a cone and shout through it, then it can go further.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Will you go for it with like 10 questions?
I think you guys are in quite a competitive industry. We're seeing quite a lot of advances in terms of the people that's selling Wi-Fi and digital communication platforms and things like that. And you guys are also quite a large organization. What are some of the largest projects that you've ever worked on?
Connecting the world to the internet. Yeah, that's quite a.
That's connecting the world to South Africa.
No, it's not the world. It is. There's still a lot of people in South Africa that only has access to mobile data. So, there's about 16.5 million households in the country. That's households with electricity. And those households is very, very diverse in two ways. One way is LSM, is how much money they earn. And the other way is the densities, how close together they live. So there are people that has got very little money that lives in the middle of nowhere. And then there's people that's got lots of money that lives in the middle of nowhere. And then you have people that has got lots of money that lives in a dense environment. And then you've got people that doesn't have lots of money that live in a dense environment. And that creates a very interesting dynamic in South Africa. And I think maybe in other African countries as well. Or maybe countries like India and South America as well. But the Europeans and the Americas is a little bit different in terms of demographics. But in any case, of that 16 million households, there's only about 3.5 million households that it's really feasible to pay or that can really afford something like 500 Rand a month for an uncapped fixed line service. And I mean, it's easy to work that out. You just look at the amount of taxpayers in the country. And those taxpayers, most of them live two in a house. So, so that is the size of the market for products, internet products, that's around about 500 Rand, more or less, 400, 500, 600 Rand. So then there's a big majority of the country that only has access to mobile data where it's incremental payments, like 1 gig at a time for, I see South is now 25 Rand or something, 1 gig at a time. And but the thing about mobile data is it's expensive because the mobile data operators are spending lots of money. You can just go onto their websites and download their annual reports because they list it, and there they will show their financials, and you can see how much money they invest in network infrastructure. And who pays for that? It's the end user that pays for that.
Yeah,
they are paying for that infrastructure because for them to get that data, they have it. It's free. They need to deliver it. So that opens up, I always have the story about, if you have to bake a cake and you have to look at the recipe on a YouTube video on how to bake the cake, and you use mobile data, you buy mobile airtime, LTE, whatever, to watch this YouTube video, it's going to cost you more in mobile data than the ingredients of the cake. So it's like a crazy situation that you have where it's really expensive for people. And so our goal is, our vision is to develop this hardware. We've developed this hardware, which we now need to get rolled out as fast as we can. And it's really minimum viable prototypes, and it's really testing the market and getting the business model working and really in there. And we deploy it. And the cost of this deployment is a lot. It doesn't cost as much as building a cell phone tower. So because it's a lot cheaper than a cell phone tower, we can charge less because we don't have all this massive things that we need to pay for. It's smaller things that's lower cost that we need to pay for, and that then enables us to charge people less money because the infrastructure costs less. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
So it's not the whole world. It's that specific market that currently that doesn't have anything else. Yeah, but it needs to be a dense environment. That's another thing. If you're in the middle of nowhere and you live your closest neighbor is like a kilometer away, then you need to wait for Elon Musk's Starlink to come.
That was my next question to you. Was actually. So you mentioned the accessibility to internet. How is someone like Elon Musk Starlink? I can imagine it's quite expensive now because there's not a lot of satellites. But I mean, they're talking about 40 million satellites. How would that technology affect your business model?
now it's lovely because it's the perfect backhaul. And we can't wait for them to be here because that will just a big cost is getting. When I spoke about the courier business, getting that parcel, that shirt, with either a plane, which is like a satellite, or either with a ship, which is like an undersea cable, getting that to the shore, and then getting it onto a train or a truck, and getting it to your closest town. That is a very big part of the cost. And if Starlink is there, it takes that away. Then
so you guys will then piggyback off his technology to deliver that the locals the internet that you want to get to them. Oh yeah, that's quite cool.
It's then that's then the way of it's almost like the parcel magically appears then at the post office, and now you just need to get the guy on his bicycle to take
the last mile
to his house.
Yeah.
So it won't get lost like from the ship to our post office and then to your door, and we'll never see the package.
I think, Eduard, just for the guys that don't know anything about Starlink or Elon Musk and the satellites that they're doing, just give a quick breakdown of how that's going to work.
We can't get them in South Africa yet. So I've tried buying one or smuggling one into the country, and it's been a bit of a challenge. I shouldn't say that, but I've seen some videos on how they've taken the product apart, and it's really, really well designed because it's easy and it's simple and it's not mechanical.
What is it?
Say again, what is it? It's an antenna that you mount outside, and this antenna aligns itself to the satellite. And then there's these low orbit satellites. Meaning, low orbit is, it means that the satellite is not very far away. So if you think about DSTV or OpenHD or any of these services where you have a dish on your roof to get TV, that satellite is 36,000 kilometers away. It's 1/10 of the distance that the moon is away from the Earth, and that's called a geostationary satellite. So that satellite turns at the same speed as what the Earth turns. That's why the dish can stay. But now these satellites from Elon Musk, they're much closer to Earth. So that makes the latency much less. So it's good service. It's nice and fast. But in order for the satellite to be so close to Earth, it needs to spin very fast around Earth. Otherwise, it's just going to crash into Earth. And that spinning is centrifugal force. It's like taking a bucket of water on a string.
Oh, wow.
And you swing it. You can actually swing it, and the bucket is upside down, and the water doesn't fall out. That is because of centrifugal force. The same happens to the satellites. They spin so fast that it balances out the
gravitational
force, which makes them stay at the same height. So they need lots of these satellites to spin around. And that concept is not that new. There's a company called Iridium that does the same kind of thing. Their satellites are a little bit different height. But the nice thing about what Elon Musk did is that
he built a rocket.
We didn't wait to make sure these things are 100% perfect before he launches them and tested them to death for 10 years on Earth. He said, this is an idea and this concept is going to work, and let's going to try these things and let's shoot a few up and see how it works. And I think that's quite an important thing to mention, is that the fact that he wasn't 100% ready, but he was willing to take the risk. Yes, he's got the infrastructure, and yes, he's got the means and the ways, but still, he didn't wait, before he started trying it out. That's why it's only available in certain areas. He launched the satellite, so they only pass the Earth in certain areas. And, okay, great, it works. Now let's get the satellites to talk to each other. Oh, that works. Okay, now let's do the whole globe. So that's that staggered approach of going into pushing a product. I think that's quite a good way of doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's universal for business. It's if you wait to be perfect, you're too late.
Yep.
You can't wait. Innovation is happening so fast now. You can't wait for it to be perfect. By the time you launch, you're too late. Someone else has done it, or someone else has come up with a better idea, or technology has advanced far beyond what your initial product offering is.
That's a very difficult thing for engineers to do, because the engineer is typically, or technical person is typically wants to make sure everything is 100%. Because of fear, they are afraid it's not going to work, or because they're afraid people are not going to like it, or it's always some kind of a fear-based reason. Why do they want to make this thing perfect? But what they don't realize is that what's in their minds is not necessarily what's in the consumer's minds. And getting something to the market and get honest paid. You remember, people must pay for it. Even the Starlink thing from Elon Musk, it's not for free. You need to pay for it. And you must get something in the market and people pay for it. Even if they pay what you think they must pay when this thing is, in production, or when the service is like smooth running, and it costs you a lot more to do in the beginning. Let them pay that price. And then what they're going to do is they're going to tell you exactly what the problem is, because they paid for it. If you give it to them for free, it's going to be, this is great.
It's great. They won't tell you.
It's in their drawer forever. And they will never give you honest feedback, because they're too shy they're going to hurt your feelings or something. So now that they paid for it, now they don't care about your feelings. Now it's money that talks. Now they're going to tell you straight what the problem is.
Yeah, once you start paying, it's a different complaint you'll have.
That's what you want. You want those complaints in the beginning, because that's the only way you can realize what you're going to change.
That's your feedback loop as well, to see what your product's doing and what is the market fit, because there is a market fit. Most of the time, the idea you start off with is not really the thing that ends up being the successful part of the business. So if we look different, sorry, Willie, I just wanted to mention on that, because he was talking about the base stations and the internet and so forth. What is the difference in the scalability between the South African markets and the US markets when it comes to telecommunications and stuff like that?
Oh, so Africa is a drop in the ocean. It's so small. I mean, we're only 60 million people, and there's 270 million people in the US. There's 7 billion people in the world, and we're 60 million. So Africa is small, but what South Africa offers is it offers a perfect beta testing ground. Because we are one of the most diverse countries in the world. We've got the second biggest Gini index. For those who don't know what that is, it's the split in how many people control how much of the money. So there's a very small percentage in the population that's got the most money in the country. And then there's a very big percentage of the country. And it's a sad story, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We're not going to go into that. But what it offers is a combination between a first world and a third world country. First world infrastructure and technology, third world environments. So that combination gives a very nice environment to test something. And if it doesn't work, it's not a big audience that's going to be upset. If you launch something to 100 million people in the States, and it doesn't work, your brand is going to be dead. And if there's 1,000 people in South Africa that's upset, then it's not that. You can still manage that. You can still fix it. You can still get it better.
Especially in the tech sector.
Yeah, especially in technology. Also in a service, even if your product is a service, or even if your product is I don't know, a food mixer or whatever, it's anything. Yeah, I know what you say, even if it's tech. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work if it's something like food or clothing. I don't know.
Because tech is easily launchable and it's scalable, and you can launch it anywhere in the world. So it's, especially if it's an online platform or something like that.
Yes.
And most of the people in the US think we're still riding lines to work. So we don't really get upset if we...
It's a funny
that's
story.
A true story.
True story. I was sitting on an island in Mexico when I was 19 years old, and we met these American people, and they're like, "Where are you from?" I said, "No, from South Africa." They're like, "Really?" He said, "Yes." I said, "But is there like animals and stuff running on OR Tambo?" I said, "Yes." So before we go land, we fly over there and we chase off the elephant and the lion, and then we come back and then we land. And they like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yes, really." And we kept that going for the whole night, and we never corrected them. So that's probably why everyone thinks there's stuff running around. But anyway,
I think that is
Eduard,
because America is so diverse in the landscape. You know, you can get from desert to ski to ice to forest to grasslands. It's very diverse. So for American, they don't really have to leave America to experience
that's true.
Different environments. So there's not really a need for exposure. Okay, there are obviously some other things they can't see, but most of the things they can see inside country, and that's maybe why it's like that.
Yeah, it's a very diverse country.
Eduard, so just a quick question out of curiosity. There's a lot of tech that's advanced over the last couple of years. What's some of the technology that we see these days, which is really exciting? What makes you excited for the future?
There's this website. There's two websites that's quite interesting. It's Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And it's crowdsourcing websites. And so a company or a crowd of people, like some people go and they put some marketing material on there and videos of the product that they want to develop. And this product is not really developed yet. It's like vaporware. And then you buy this product, but it will only be delivered once they finished making it. And there's some really interesting technology things on there.
Okay.
I think, but the catch is that, if they don't make it, then you lose your money. So, and
which also happens.
Yeah, so that can happen, So the thing you buy mustn't be too far-fetched. You must use your gut feeling if you think it's actually possible. But there's a thing there that there's a product there that can synchronize with your brainwaves that you put on your head, like Alice band, and then it synchronizes with your brainwaves. And then when it picks up your brainwaves, it sends the same magnetic signals as your brainwaves. And then once it's synchronized with your current state of your brain, you can then start changing your brainwaves to either relax or focus or concentrate. And so then it starts slowly manipulating your brainwaves in those, but it needs to sync first. Otherwise, because there's a lot of radiation, there's a lot of electromagnetic and magnetic energy already going into your head, but that's random, and your brain it ignores that, so it doesn't really get influenced by that. So the catch is it first needs to synchronize, and then you can manipulate it. I don't know. It's like when you were a kid, when you like in the bath, and you move forwards and backwards. Then you slowly can actually make a wave, and then the wave gets so big the water splashes.
And then you're in the shit because you have to clean up the floor.
Yeah. But now,
how did you really do it when you were a kid? My bad.
If you move forwards and backwards randomly, in a little bit and fast and slow, then you never get that wave to go. You need to go with the wave. It's that same kind of idea. So I think that's an interesting product because that, that's not same as Neuralink where they plant stuff in your head, which is already possible. But what it does is it creates another world where humans, that we live in this 3-dimensional, call it maybe 4 dimensions if you add time. We live in this 4-dimensional environment. And we can grasp it and get it. But there's another dimension, which is this consciousness dimension. And consciousness is what makes us human. It's animals also have consciousness, but they're not that conscious, but they do have definitely consciousness. And there's the same kind of Maslow hierarchy stuff applies to animals as well in a way. But our level of consciousness is what created this whole everything that's going on in the world, all this perceptions, politics, economy, all these things is created because we're conscious, and because we're conscious, we have these perceptions, so what it means is that your body, that death, is only really a technical problem. If you can bridge that gap where your consciousness can stay alive, then you don't really need a body. And I know that sounds like science fiction, and it's not going to happen in our life. Maybe not. But that being able to communicate with your brain in cyberspace means that you can now basically time travel. You can now experience stuff that is not. It's reality. If you close your eyes, and you imagine how it must be at the beach, that happy place, and you experience that happy place. I mean, weren't you really there? Weren't you at that happy place? You were in your mind. Physically, you weren't.
Yeah.
But it's our consciousness that makes our reality. So if our consciousness can take us there, then that we created that reality. That's then your reality, and that's then real for you. So what says that you aren't there? So that's an interesting product. Sorry, it went completely off. Your question is, that's an interesting product, and it went completely tied well.
But it's exactly like that. If you think about what creates an experience is emotion. I was happy, or I was ecstatic, or whatever. So emotion comes, or the experience comes from the emotion. If you close your eyes and you think back of a time that you were really upset, your partner cheated on you, or whatever the case may be, if you close your eyes and you think about that particular time, your body feels that emotion. You get upset, you get angry. So it creates an experience. So how is that not relevant to all different stages, as you mentioned, time, which is in different dimensions? It can multi-lapse across all of that, and it comes from the emotional experience of it.
And it's your reality. It's for you. It's
and
real.
It creates reality.
It's real. I mean, it's your real. So that's quite interesting.
No.
So yeah, that's what I think is an interesting technology product, and it completely at a tangent.
I'd love to carry on about this because I want to chat about some of the new stuff that's coming into voice now, and especially how that's going to impact how we search. And I was in the US, for example, and you can order stuff through your Alexa, and 2 hours later it gets delivered by a drone. So some really cool stuff happening. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so we're going to have to get you back to another show. So we can talk a bit about the tech. Before we get on, we've got a thing at the end which we call the hot seat. So it's a couple of questions, nothing to think about, no explanation, one word answer, the first thing that comes to mind. Just a couple of questions. So I'll go first on this one, and then Vili can go. We'll start off with the easy one. Someone that's really inspired you in your life.
So it's difficult because it's not necessarily a person. It's partly family. My family is for me quite important. My wife, my kids, and that's inspiration in a way to be with them and keep them alive and their well-being. But then I don't know. There's a guy called Bear Grylls. He's quite an inspiration.
I've got a Bear Grylls knife.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what I like about him is grit. True grit is that thing where you get into this difficult situation, and it is either fight or flight, or either you die or either you get through it. And how that is it's real. It's a reality, but it can be influence perception at that moment. So if you're in a moment, and it can be in a business, or it can be in we have a fork at your life, you need to decide what to do now. Maybe it's fight, maybe it's flight. You will know what it is. But making that decision that I'm not going to die now, I'm going to get through this. There is one way. There is a way. It doesn't matter what it is. There is a way, and we will get through this. I think that was probably one of the many things that inspired me. Survive.
Cool. My next question is a really technical question, seeing that we've got a telecoms expert on the show. So does a foil hat really keep out 5G rays?
A foil hat?
A foil hat, yes.
Yes, but only will keep it out where there's foil. So if you have if there's no foil below, it can come in from underneath. So yes, it will stop it from the top. But there's reflections, from the floor that goes up, and that's going to come in at the bottom of that. There where your head is, it's going to come.
I'm not wearing a foil head. Nothing's coming into the bottom of me anyway.
Billy, just your question there is, I think your question is because, can this do something to you? Can this 5G do something to you?
Yes.
And that's maybe why you're asking this question. And I have to tell you that the sun, our major thing that the Earth spins around, it makes light. That sun, so much electromagnetic radiation. There's people that observes the sun, and there's sensors on all the satellites that observes the sun. And the sun blasts electromagnetic radiation like mad forever. It's been doing it since the start of humankind, and since the start of the sun, which is even before the start of the Earth. And it's still going to carry on for very long. So humans has been exposed to that same kind of radiation for all existence.
Many years.
So that is the one thing I want to say. Just take that into account. And it's a lot of radiation, okay?
Yeah, it's a lot more that you're going to get from the other stuff.
And the other thing is that the cell phone tower is far away compared to how far your phone is away from you. So your phone radiates you a lot more than what the tower does. There can be a tower on your roof, and it will still be less energy that gets to you than what your phone puts out. And it's 10,000 times. Yeah, it's 10,000 times less energy gets to you from the tower than what your phone puts out. I mean, you can do an experiment. Just put your phone inside a microwave oven, but don't switch the oven on. Just put the phone there. If you switch the oven on, your phone's going to die. But then use another phone and then phone your phone. Then you'll see your phone rings inside a microwave oven. And that frequency that the microwave oven uses is very similar to the frequency that your phone uses to communicate to the tower. So that means that your microwave oven leaks more energy out than what your phone puts out. So
feels like I have to buy a foil suit.
No, if you're worried now, you won't have to wear a foil suit. Just don't stand in front of the microwave oven and look into and see if the stuff because that is 10,000 times more radiation than what your phone exposes you to.
Really cool.
Just the perspective of this radiation.
I don't know how am I supposed to cook food if I can't look at it. It's just not gonna happen. Like with
you can look at it in the pot on the stove, but don't look at it in the microwave. I mean, do it with your eyes. And that's the other thing. It is that radiation, that electromagnetic radiation. All that it does is it warms up stuff. So it does. So your skin, it's got blood in. So if it touches your skin, most of the heat dissipates into your body. The only two organs that can't handle dissipating heat very fast is your eyes and your balls, your testicles. So that's the thing. That's the two organs you need to watch out for.
So Willie, now you need to know where to put the foil wrap on you, not on your head.
Not on your head.
Come for a bucky mouth. Guys, let's cut the show. Let's end the show before it's totally off the wall. Edward, thanks for sharing your knowledge and thanks for coming on the show. I think let's end it there. But yes, what a super cool show. I definitely want to get it back on and chat a bit more about future technologies and now technology is going to impact the way we live. And I mean, we're into 7 CTOs in San Diego and just some of the tech that those guys are working on, like non-intrusive diabetes tests and things that can pick up different diseases from your perspiration of your skin. And there's just really cool tech. So, any last words that you want to mention before we end off the show, Eduard?
I think if somebody is an entrepreneur and they want to start a business and get out there, first thing you need to do is make sure that what you want to offer saves time in a way. So because time is the money, that's what people pay you for, that convenience, that product. So it either needs to save time or it needs to keep you alive, like food or water, or air. But and then
or safe like foil.
And then it is go for it, do it. It's that the longer you wait. Yeah, talk is cheap, but there's value in execution. So do something and try it. All those things come from mindset. It's from what's your perspective, what's your view, your viewpoint, and your mindset towards the world, and to try and open your mind towards what people want. I'm going to try this. I've got an idea, and I think it's going to change the world. People are going to like it. You can talk about it, but nothing's going to happen if you talk about it. You need to do something and try it. And it doesn't have to cost lots of money to try it. You figure out a way to do it without spending lots of money, to get that feedback from the consumer. Because in your head, it's very easy to figure out the whole plan and to make sure everything is going to work wonderful. But I can promise you that it's not the same as what everybody else thinks. And you need to get their opinions, because their opinions is what's going to make them buy it or not. That's all I have to say.
Oh, very cool. Eduard, thanks for the time. And viewers, I just want to thank you guys for showing up. Without you, there won't be a show. Remember to just like this stuff, comment on it, create some engagement, and then share it with other people that you think might find it valuable. This is all about creating the community and just creating that collective consciousness, so that we all become better by helping each other achieve and succeed. And then, as Eduard said, remember to take action, guys. Without application, massive action. Without action and application, nothing's going to change. It'll be the same day as it was yesterday. Eduard, thanks for coming on to the show. Willie, thanks for my co-host. Go wrap your Willie in foil, and I'll catch you guys on the next show.
Edward, thanks so much for your time, and for everyone that's watching the show, thanks so much. If out there won't be any show, check you next week, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.